Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. And I, of course, am MrWarrenHayes, and this is the place where we talk about professional wrestling every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, and also on facebook.com/MrWarrenHayes. Yes, streaming two places, twice as nice. The double your Warren Hayes pleasure, double your fun or something. But hey, thank you everyone for joining me here this evening because like I mentioned, we record live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, and it's always a good time because there are wonderful people who join us live every Thursday in the live chat, such as Thomas Gories. Hello. Tim Trevor's here as well. Hello. Kelly Tonjes is here as well. I promise I'm not gonna laugh at the name this week. And we're getting zombies again. I'm sorry. I thought I had fixed it. I did not. Okay, I'm a W. Hey, nonetheless, Goindy Now is here. How you doing? Good to see you as well. Benoit is here as well. Robert, Larry, good to see you too, sir. Who else we got? Kristen Ashley, of course, is here. But you know, there's a reason why she's here too as well. But she's also in the chat. She's keeping an eye on everyone. Mark Forbes. Yeah. How you doing? Good to see you here as well. Evan Wright is in the chat. Who else? Carlos is here. How you doing? Anakin JMT as well. Oh my goodness. Singir Vampire is here as well. DGMC. Yeah. Hello. Look at all these fantastic people joining us. Brian Payne, how you doing? Good to see you. JK Schwal, Nikki as well. Jason PS3. Have we got anyone over on the Facebook side? I can't. It's I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. We have all these great people here joining us this evening. youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes per usual. Thank you all for being here. It is a true pleasure to be here and on Facebook Live. Oh, and by the way, since we're already talking about Facebook Live and Facebook and programming, this Saturday, as you know, since it's a pay-per-view weekend, I'm doing a predictions show on Saturday morning, per usual, to talk about WWE Extreme Rules, the horror show. And I'm going to be joined by Vince Delgado of the Smacked Raw podcast. And Vince is a very cool guy. It's a fun podcast. I hope you guys join me Saturday morning, me and Vince, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for all this great wrestling talk. We're going to talk about eyeballs popping out of people's heads. We're going to talk about women's championships being defended, swamp fights. It's going to be something else. Anyway, but in the meantime, before that, do remember as well to come and join me after the show here. Once we're done, head on over to patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, and it'll be time for the patron only. Let's do this. You get emojis of me, emojis of Kristen, Goldberg emojis. There's a lot of stuff there. So that's a good way to show support for the MrWarrenHayes Show. And as well, you can also drop us a super chat, and your question, comment, thought, mood will be read live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, but not by Mr. Warren Hayes tonight. Oh no. They will be read by the true voice of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. The soothing sounds of Kristen Ashley's voice. We'll be reading them. Kristen is with us tonight. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Why, thank you. Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I don't know if you see that they're complaining about the lag and buffering issues.
I can see that, which is very, very odd. But
I'm getting the same thing.
Let me take a look here.
Maybe it's me. Now they're saying it's back to normal.
Now they're saying it's back to normal. Well, that's good. I mean, if it goes back, if it goes back to normal, look, we'll pat it through. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. But in any extent, you know, we'll keep an eye on everything. Make sure that we'll make sure that that we're able to run as normally as we can. We'll see what happens. We'll go. But hey, hey, if things are coming back to normal, that's a good sign. Kristen, you're here tonight, sort of again as the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're are you having a lovely day so far?
Very busy, but Thursdays are always fun, right? Because we have your show to look forward to.
Oh, thank you.
Aw.
Oh, how are we doing on the super chat front, Kristen? Do we already have a couple?
We have 5.
Goodness, my goodness. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with Evan Wright. He says #justice for DGMC.
I don't know why he requires justice.
I didn't. Did you do something? No?
Of course not. What's that supposed to mean? No, of course not.
Right. JK Schwal 03 says, welcome to Hiromu-chan world, Warren. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
To Hiromu-chan world, yes. Speaking about Hiromu Takahashi, who had a complete meltdown last week at Dominion, New Japan Pro Wrestling's pay-per-view that happened last Sunday. I'm going to be talking about that. But yes, it is Hiromu-chan's world for sure. Thank you for the super chat.
Anakin JMT says, Warren, please confirm or deny the rumor that DGMC paid off Sean to remove you from Fightful SmackDown post-show.
That is one thing that I can confirm or deny that DGMC did it. Maybe DGMC did it behind the scenes. I don't know. No. Don't. For personal reasons, family related reasons, I won't be doing the SmackDown stuff anymore, folks. So everything is okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's just it. Just stuff that I have to handle on a personal level. Don't worry. Let me see. Oh, maybe I could. Let me do a quick little twist here. Hope everyone's having a good time. These are the things. It's weird. This hadn't happened in quite a while. I remember when it used to be a lot more of a problem some time ago.
Maybe it's me.
No, it's not you. Could not be you.
Just drop me. See what happens.
It is definitely not you. All right, look.
Do you want me to try getting out? Oh. See what happens?
Is it still buffering pretty bad?
I mean, it's behind, yeah. It's at least not buffering anymore, but...
Okay, well, it could also be on YouTube's end, because I'm trying stuff out here, and look, we're going to try. We're going to keep going. And if all else fails, folks, this will all be available afterwards as well on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. And it will also be available in podcast format. We're going to give it the good old college try here.
He won't dump me. I'm trying to get him to just dump me so then I can go eat tacos. But there I am.
No dice. No tacos yet for new. You've got to work for them tacos first. Kristen Ashley. Want to say hello to Chris Greenlee? Say hello to Chris Greenlee, who's in the chat. Good to see you. And Soul is here as well. Good to see you, everyone, popping in tonight. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the weekly wrestling inspection. Sorry. We're getting the theme song again. All right, well, here's the theme song. Hey, I mean, on an evening where we're having technical problems, why not listen to the theme song one more time? Let's start with, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start by talking about New Japan Dominion. We're going to wrap up some thoughts there. I did a post show, as perhaps some of you know. Did a post show immediately after Dominion on Sunday morning. I was joined by Queen of NE, so that was a lot of fun. But I do want to go through a few final thoughts before we move on to other things. I thought it was a good show overall. Maybe not as stellar as some New Japan shows usually can be, because I thought the main event was not that great. However, there were 3 top tier matches on this show. You had the main event, you had the tag team championship title, which was really, really good. And then there was Sho versus Shingo, which was fantastic. Out of those three, the main event was really it was a little bit of the iffiest. It really was the iffiest. It really was the iffiest. So moving forward now that everything has happened, I just have a few notes. Basically, Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimp, like one of the guys in Bullet Club who is, the perennial loser, the guy who is added to multi-man matches to take the pin. If there was one person that I thought benefited the most from the COVID environment right now, I thought it was Yoshihashi. But ultimately, it's Yujiro Takahashi. He gets a pinfall victory on the night before, on the night of the New Japan Cup Finals. He gets a pinfall victory. And then on Dominion, he gets the win again. Plus, he stands tall on Kazuchika Okada. That is bananas. Like, I don't get it. It really does blow my mind that we're at a point where Yujiro Takahashi is getting tippy top billing, or at least suddenly being projected into a program with Okada. So good for him. I'm happy for that. We also saw the debut of Master Wato. Or at least we saw him those two nights. His debut was the night before at the finals. Yeah. But listen, a lot of hype for him on my end, mostly ironically, right? Because of the look, because of the blue hair, the blue gear, everything together. It was like, that was that's just really something. But he's not quite crisp yet, but he'll get there. The gimmick is what it is for now, but this is the kind of thing that, wait till we see him in 15 years. Like, he's out of the Young Lion program, flying on his own, first gimmick out. Best of Super Juniors for him will probably help establish him a lot more. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in that tournament, how they're going to position him in that tournament. Very excited to see that. Then, of course, we had Sho versus Shingo. I mentioned it a bit. Shingo, to me, is becoming the new Hiroki Goto for great go-to. See, that's a joke. Go-to, Goto. You get it, Kristen? But with a lot more charisma. He's like the new Goto, but with a lot more charisma. Goto, as good as he is, he's a bit of a stiff. Shingo, though, that's a whole other deal. Match of the show again between these two guys. And you know what? With Yo's injury, they should have pulled the trigger and have Sho win the Never title. Pull the trigger on the singles run. I don't know why they're sitting on it. But now we're moving into another feud with him, with Shingo. We're going Shingo versus El Desperado. That's something we haven't seen before. That's very good. I'm interested about it. Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. became the IWGP Tag Team Heavyweight Tag Team Champions against defeating champions Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. And fine, this was a fun match. I thought it was a really good match. When Taichi feels like it, he feels like it, right? So that was all good. And finally, we got to talk about the main event. We got to talk about Evil joining Bullet Club at the finals of New Japan Cup. He wins the New Japan Cup, turns on Naito, goes Bullet Club. Like I said, I wasn't fussy about the main event of Dominion. I didn't think it was that good. But, Evil isn't a bad choice as a champion. He's a former IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He has the credibility. I'm okay with that. The question that I have is, did Naito need to drop the strap so soon? That was my thing. And why wasn't Naito mad? Like, out of his gourd angry when he came to the fight. I know Naito's LIJ gimmick is Mr. Cool. He's like, nothing gets to him. He's tranquilo, right? That's the thing. I get it. But in this circumstance, a little fire would have made a lot of sense and probably would have helped explain why your boy Evil got the drop on him too. So, you know, I was talking about Yujiro being the big winner of the COVID era, but ultimately, I think Evil is. Hey, clearly, you know, they did this choice because they needed to keep things exciting, move things along, wanted to put Bullet Club back into prominence with a big surprising win. I get that they need to keep things fresh because they haven't been running shows for months. So, you know, it's like, hey, don't forget, we're back and we're flipping the script on y'all. So I can get behind that. Hey, you know what? The championship situation is not stale, right? This is not boring. It's not like the same people at the top all the time. It's not like, oh, I can see the end coming for this one. It's predictable. This was fantastic. Ultimately, I think it's good. It's still a surprising. It's still a shock, especially for a Naito fan, an LIJ fan. You're like, my God, what has Naito done to Gedo to get this kind of booking? Like, I honestly don't understand it. But hey, it's all good. And by the way, Dick Togo, right? Joined Evil at the end, joined him to celebrate, and joined Bullet Club. Dick Togo, legendary Japanese wrestler. He's had a tiny wee little stint in New Japan, but he's been around a lot more in DDT and Noah. He came overseas with the Kaientai faction before they were picked up into WWE. I mean, this is one of these 50-year-olds that can still go hard. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Dick Togo moving forward. And so there you go. Those were my thoughts on Dominion, Kristen. What do you think about my thoughts on Dominion? You as a New Japan, as someone who doesn't watch New Japan at all.
It's a very long 7 minutes that you had stowed away for this.
There you go.
So you ready for all these super chats?
Fire away.
I think everybody in this chat hates me because I can't pronounce any of these names. So
okay.
They just want to see me struggle. It's fine. Way back when, Anakin JNT said, Warren, I was having the problem last night as well. Maybe it's your system regarding your buffering.
Well, we'll have to investigate. But thank you for the concern, Anakin. I appreciate it.
Nick Wolf says Bullet Club split when everyone is allowed back in the country and when Gallus and Anderson come back? ?
You know, by the way, thank you, Nick Wolf, for the super chat, and welcome as well. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. The most important, the main reason I think why they went with Evil as a champion is because most of their Gaijin wrestlers aren't there, right? And that's the thing. It's like Bullet Club is supposed to be a faction of foreigners coming in with their evil North American shenanigans to mess up matches. Right now, Bullet Club is exclusively Japanese. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, it steers from the basic principle of what Bullet Club is supposed to be. So I definitely see, like, because Evil declared himself as leader as Bullet Club, right? When Jay White comes back, Jay White is going to be like, hey, thanks for keeping my seat warm, Evil, but now it's time for me to take things back. And I'm not sure Evil is going to be super okay with that. So I am here for a full-blown Bullet Club faction war. I'm down for it.
Okay, Evan Wright writes, I love Dominion. Shingo show?
Correct.
Ruled.
Show. Mm-hmm.
Tag title match ruled. Evil turn and stuff all ruled. Love Desperado getting a title match. Hiromu challenging too.
We have to point that out. Hiromu coming to defend the honor of LIJ at the end of Los Ingobernables de Japón, Kristen. And he came at the end because he's broken apart. Ultimately, here's the thing. Zombie appearance. But this is the thing, is that Hiromu is the child of this divorce between Evil and Naito. He just had a complete and utter meltdown. I'm looking forward to this match between Evil and Hiromu. Should be tons of fun.
Tim Travers says, I woke up after that New Japan Pro Wrestling stream. I love it.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Derek Kryriluk, for becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Enjoy those emojis, man.
Enjoy them. Anakin JMT says, wait, there's a guy named, is it Wato? Watto dressed in blue. Is it really Watto from Star Wars?
It's unfortunately not Watto from Star Wars, but they have the same aesthetic, if you ask me.
Evan Wright says, calling it now. Sorry. Bullet Club, Civil War, post-pandemic, Kenta, Evil, Ishimori.
Very good.
Yujiro. And Togo versus White, God, Fale, and Owens.
Yeah, honestly, I think would the lines be traced that would the battle line be that separate, like the homegrown guys versus the gaijin? Is that what would happen? Because don't forget, you have El Desperado and not El Desperado, El Fantasmo in there as well. There's I don't know. I feel there'd be room for some mixed alliances here. For some reason, I definitely would see. For some reason, I don't see Yujiro and Chase Owens going on separate factions. I think those two need each other too much to share the pinfall losses.
TGMC says, does Sonata beat Evil for the title and avenge LIJ?
That's a good question. You know what? Here's the thing that's it would make sense, right? It'd make sense. But every time that I come to sit down and bracket stuff off and think about New Japan, it just flips it all over. And then I finish a show, I finish a sequence, like a tournament in New Japan, and I'm like, clearly I don't understand New Japan. So it would make sense that Sonata would do that, maybe earn his way through the G1. The G1 is going to be really, really interesting in this context here, with Evil as the new champ. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how the G1 goes down this year. But I mean, Sonata is super. He's credible. I don't think you want to go to the Okada well just yet. Sonata would make sense.
JK Schwal 03 says, Zack Sabre Jr., I know that one, is a heel when he calls Zimas, that's right. Okay, never mind. Zimas is a drink. Sorry. The drink of 2020 after the match.
Yes. Of course, but he'll never go total heel, because he'll never had something good to say about Boris Johnson. There's at least that. But I agree, J.K. Schwal. Thank you very much for the super chat. Okay, let's move on to some hot trash. We're gonna talk about last Friday's SmackDown, Kristen.
Yes, we are. We have to.
We don't have to, but we will.
Well,
we have
integrity.
Yes, exactly. And I'm so sick and tired of talking about the Jeff Hardy situation. I really, really am. I'm so done with it. But I feel like week after week they give me more reasons to talk about it and to go into why it's bad. When it first kicked off, and it's still the underlying theme of it, about it. The fact that they're weighing into his addictions and his alcoholism is disgraceful. And it's a terrible, terrible angle. And the problem that I see happening with WWE right now is that, and this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, it's that they cannot create real heat for their wrestlers. Like, when I mean real heat, within the context of their wrestling show. They can't create real heat for them, so they have to go to these outside real world factors to give us a reason to care for what's going on. Look at what they did with Drake Maverick. Look at what they did with Heath Slater, trying to jimmy in Heath Slater into this feud between Dolph and Drew to sort of create some kind of heat there by using the very real firing of Heath Slater to sort of generate some heat, but it didn't do anything at all. And by the way, WWE doing that is basically telling y'all, hey, we realize how callous we are. We're firing a guy, and then we're telling him, hey, why don't you come back just one last time, give us a heartfelt promo, then get kicked in the mouth. And that is extremely, extremely telling of how heartless they really and truly are. Now, as far as Jeff goes, he can be a beacon of hope, because that's what they're sort of twisting it to be. You can be a beacon of hope for people going through similar situations without having to hammer the message home and put it like directly on the nose and be like, hey, look at this guy. He's just like you alcoholics out there, and he pulled himself out. Look, he's a WWE superstar. You can avoid doing that, and he can still be an inspiring figure despite of it. And WWE could support him in that by having him reach out to other addicts to do talks, whatever, but they're not. They're not being a good support network to him. They're not acting like a company that should be backing him up and creating a safe environment for her. Oh, if he falls off the wagon, that's not a problem. We'll pay for his rehab again. No biggie, but that's not helping. That's not when that's not when he requires help, because that's when he fell. He requires help right now. He requires support right now. And this came to light earlier today. I want to thank Anakin for jumping into the show notes today and adding a few comments. I appreciate it. Thank you, Anakin. He brought this to my attention. Jeff Hardy hasn't even had his court appearance for his DWI last year. He's still dealing with that. He was supposed to have his court date today, but it's been pushed back to September. It's not even done. Folks, technically speaking, Jeff Hardy hasn't even been a year sober. And this is what we're doing. It is ridiculously egregious. This baffles my mind. And if there's any people out there who still wonders, like, oh, he's a grown man, so I suggest you do two things. If you're sitting around still saying to yourself, he's a grown man, he knows what he's doing, he's okay with this, I want you to go to Kristen Ashley's YouTube channel. Kristen is sober, going on 4 years sober. And she made a video where she talks about the angle from the perspective of someone who has been an alcoholic. And you need to listen to that, because a lot of it will make sense. And the second thing you need to do is listen to this tweet that Matt Hardy put out, earlier this week, and it's very, very telling. He says this was in regards to a series of tweets about Jeff and Matt going down separate paths right now, and Matt said, "I'm very happy with how AEW has let me brand my persona, allowing me to help younger talent on and off screen, while also respectfully celebrating my legacy and contributions to the industry. I have those same concerns about the unneeded pressure on my brother." He's concerned about what they're doing to Jeff right now, as we should all naturally be, because this doesn't make sense. So I've said my piece on that again this week. It's still trash. And the fact that they're they're going to make a barroom brawl, and you know what kind of stupid shit they're going to do. They're going to have Sheamus pouring bottles of beer over Jeff. Sure, it won't be beer. It'll be non-alcoholic brew, or it'll be apple juice or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's all the imagery. It's the symbolism. It's putting Jeff into that type of situation. That is absolutely preposterous. I cannot wait to never revisit this angle again. I cannot wait to never speak about it again. It is disgusting. There. Let's keep on some hot trash then. Let's keep doing it.
You want to pause for a breath? So you can read some.
Why not?
Okay.
She knows me so well.
Yeah. Evan Wright refers back to New Japan stuff.
Okay.
Swap. Is it Togo?
Dick Togo, yes.
With Owens in my scenario, and put Phantasmo with White, God, Fale, forget he existed.
Sure. Okay. You know what? Swap Owens with anyone. Because, yeah, Phantasmo, we mustn't forget Phantasmo. There's so many guys in New Japan right now who aren't around. It's really, really fascinating how they're managing their booking right now. Thank you again, Evan, for the super chat.
Dan Heyman says, I've got nothing to ask. Big fan. Great work as always. Funny dude. Solid Twitter game. This is a good super chat, you guys.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. That's very kind of you.
Evan Wright says, Matt Hardy quote tweeted my tweet saying he is worried about Jeff and his storyline. My tweet still stands. Jeff and Matt versus Private Party would rule.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the thing, is that there still would be one good run left out of a Hardy Boys reunion with Private Party. That'd be great. Especially against the Hardy Boys, who could help Private Party. I feel Private Party lost a bit of their luster, but hey, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, absolutely, there's still, still means that that doesn't keep Matt from having concern for his brother, though.
For some reason, I can't see it in the chat, but Mr. Fretz did send a super chat that says, "Just watched Dominion. Wow." Yeah,
there you go. Thank you, Fret. How you doing, Fretz? Good to see you, by the way. Yeah, Dominion was a good show. I mean, it's like I said, I said at the start of the show, wasn't as great as other New Japan shows, but even a bad New Japan show is better than a lot of stuff. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I missed some are not showing up. Weird. Anakin JMT said, just put all SmackDown last week as hot trash.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. That's not a problem. That was a bad show last Friday. Like objectively bad. Like I would triple dare anyone to make a serious case for SmackDown last Friday, saying that it was a pretty good show. I don't think anyone can do it. But hey, thank you for the super chat, Anakin.
Tim Travers says, this Jeff thing getting me sick. It's getting on my nerves.
Yeah, for sure, man. You and I both. It's time to move on. I think I saw someone. Yeah, Corey Richmond in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. All right. Are we good, Kristen?
Yeah, sorry. There was problems with the chat, but the pop-out chat works. So we'll use that, I guess.
There you go. See,
there we go.
There's no biggie. And no one's complaining about buffering anymore, so everything's cool. Everything's cool, man. Everything's cool. Let's the karaoke stuff. That was embarrassing. Kristen, we watched it together. And we were embarrassed for what was going on. Like Tamina headbanging to Triple H's theme was one of the cringiest things I had seen in a long... The whole thing was cringe, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. Look at who you had in the ring. Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Tamina, and Naomi. Arguably, out of that, maybe Tamina is the least efficient worker you have of those three. But let's say those four. But let's say you put Dana, Lacey, Naomi. Why not just give two of those ladies a match? Right? Is it me, Kristen? Am I old-fashioned like that? That I like my wrestlers wrestling?
I think you're simplistic.
Oh,
you're a purist.
Am I pure? Oh, okay. I'm the Thursday night. Am I the Thursday night Jim Cornette?
I would like to say no. Please, God.
No, but the thing here is, all right. Sorry, I was supposed to say, yeah. Tamina was in the ring, and but I mean, she's banged up. It's a whole other story. But what I don't understand why you say to yourselves, hey, this is a great way to get our women over, and we're gonna have them pretend sing. No one I don't like karaoke on its best days. I don't like looking at people think that they're being funny because they bungle the lyrics to a song or that they can't hit the high note. That karaoke doesn't entertain me, and I'll tell you one thing, it entertains me even less on my wrestling programming. And it's really, really insulting. Honestly, it's super insulting that they didn't give either of those women, two of those four women, a match. Because this was a long segment. It was a long enough segment to house a quick match between two of those women and work to getting them over. No. Now we had to make sure that Lacey Evans begins a heel turn, which is stupid, by the way. I think Lacey is very good as a babyface, and I think they should have stuck with that. And have her feud with Naomi instead of just, like having a match and Lacey winning by nefarious means. They had to do all this shit. I hated it. Dumb. Right, Kristen?
Right. It's like, Step Brothers, Prestige Worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
When they started the karaoke company, not just anybody can go sing, though. You have to be good at singing. Not just anybody gets to come up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sing. Right.
Next, let's give some cool beans. We got to balance things out a bit, folks. I thought that the Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express was a really good match. I thought that was really fun. There's a lot of people who criticized, the idea of people waiting around, for spots to happen, these big goofy spots that they like to do. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I really don't. Especially if they really strongly lean into it, where they're like, you know what? This is the part where we all just stand around and do something ridiculous. Just go ahead and do it. I'm okay with it. I liked it. I liked also how this match tied into the stuff that happened earlier on in the evening with FTR, where Kenny Omega came out after FTR's match to sort of celebrate with them, I guess, to sort of cool everything down, and gave them some beers, and FTR poured the beers on Omega's head, and then that tied into this match here, where you had Hangman Adam Page, who was backstage at the bar watching the match. He wasn't out with his Elite brothers. He was watching the match. And then later on, FTR come and join him at the bar. Shades a bit of what happened last week when there was a bit of dissension. Or was it the week before? Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago when they had that bit of dissension, right? That was good stuff. I really, really like how interwoven all of this is becoming, and how Adam Page is still managing, or at least Adam Page's path isn't as clear, where he's like, oh, he's going to turn. Well, he's going to turn, but is he going to turn? And if he turns, is he going to end up with FTR? Look, honestly, I like how they're tying all these stories together. I really do. I think it's fantastic. It's really, really good stuff. let's keep the cool beans going. I just want to say, that on top of all of that, I really liked Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage. I thought it was a good, solid main event, brutal match, like very physical. I love the barricade suplex and chair suplex spots; those were cool. Love the fact that Mox didn't win the match with the paradigm shift, like Taz predicted, but instead he pulled out an arm bar, and he had been working Brian Cage's surgically repaired arm, as they say, for the entire match. So he locks it in, and Cage couldn't get out of it, and he eventually didn't tap, right? Taz threw the towel in. I loved it. I thought it was great. Love that they went with this finish. Mox has another finisher, another way to end a match. He doesn't have to end the match with a paradigm shift. And I like that when AEW does that a wrestler can finish you off in a few different ways. Doesn't always have to be this one specific way, kind of thing. But the one thing that AEW has to stop right now, Kristen, do you know what AEW has to stop doing right now?
I don't want to guess.
They have to stop bringing in new guys and pushing them instantly into title contention, like they did with Brody Lee, like they did with Lance Archer, and like they did with Brian Cage. They have to stop that. On one hand, it removes the unpredictability of the title match. There was no way Brody Lee was defeating Jon Moxley. We got a hell of a match out of it, don't get me wrong. But we all saw the ending coming. There was no way that Brian Cage was defeating Jon Moxley. Absolutely no way in hell. Just like I didn't expect Lance Archer. I know there was a lot more discussion as to whether Lance Archer or Cody should win the title. To me, it was always clear that Cody was going to win. I'm on record. You can check me out. I'm just not making that up. But they really have to stop that, because then there's nowhere other than to go down with those guys. They come in so high and then they go back down. Maybe this is a booking plan that they have because they don't have audiences. I can understand that they don't want to give us Mox versus MJF before being able to do it in front of a crowd. That is a match that requires a crowd. It's a match that an audience wants to see live. I can understand that maybe they don't want to pull the trigger on that. But the new guy coming in, being pushed to the top, they have to stop that, because after that, it's just a downgrade for those people, Kristen. That's the problem. It just ends up being a downgrade.
It's kind of backpedal. Evan Wright sends super chat, says inject Omega versus Jungle Boy into his veins.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, they were very good together. And I also appreciated Kenny Omega selling Marco Stunt's offense as well. And the way they were selling it was that Omega was maybe a little too cocky in regards to, a little overconfident in fighting Marco Stunt. So I liked that. I thought it was okay. And someone made me laugh on Twitter today or last night when they said, well, wasn't the first time Kenny Omega fought a child. I thought that was really, really clever. But yes, if we will be lucky enough to get a full-on Jungle Boy Kenny Omega 20-minute match in our lifetime for sure. I don't see that not happening.
Evan Wright sends another super chat. Says tag division is stacked already. Set Lucha Bros, Omega, and Page free. Get stories going and build them as contenders. That's 4 world-class wrestlers.
I'd say 3 because I'm not high on Pentagon Jr., but that's just me. But definitely Phoenix, Page, Omega, they're all fantastic. Phoenix should be a contender for the TNT title. He should be the guy to take it off. If you're not going to give him Moxley, Phoenix should be taking the title off of Cody, and I think that would be spectacular stuff. Of course, the tag team division is absolutely amazing, and you're right. Like, Omega and Page are 2 singles guys. Focus back on the tag division. Stop making Santana and Ortiz look like fools. And the last thing I want to talk about before we head out just before we head out, one more bit of hot trash. There's not a lot of stuff I like this week, which is a shame. At least on the North American side of things. The Chris Jericho segment, I didn't like it. And I didn't like it. The reason I didn't like it isn't because of all the ratings talk. I don't give a shit about that. You guys know I don't like ratings talk. I think it's boring and dumb. I think, everyone calls themselves an expert because they're able to go on showbizdaily.com and download an Excel spreadsheet, and then they're a ratings expert. I think it's boring. So I'm okay with, and honestly, WCW used to do this all the time. It's fine. It's a war. I'm okay with it. I don't mind that kind of stuff. But the juice falling from the ceiling, guys, when did liquid falling from the roof of an arena become a trope in wrestling? Because I remember the slop, like from the Godwins or whatever, and the Brood with the blood, and I mean, this has happened multiple times. I don't understand why this is such a trope. And I think it's stupid. And it looked stupid. Everyone involved looks stupid because they're just standing there and they're taking it. And I didn't like it a couple of weeks ago when Miz and Morrison tried to slime Braun Strowman and Charlie. I think they ended up sliming because it's stupid. They have to rig the thing. They have to set it up. They have to go up there with how many gallons of juice do you think it takes, Kristen, to dump onto Chris Jericho? Right? A couple. So it's like, and you can't do it alone. And it doesn't work with Orange Cassidy's character. Orange Cassidy is the least amount of effort possible. Guys, rigging the juice to fall on Chris Jericho absolutely took a lot of effort. Why would Orange Cassidy do that? It doesn't make sense. And you could tell, when Ortiz was flopping around on the ground like a fish out of water, you could tell Jericho and Hager were pissed at him. They were telling him, get up, because he was just making it even more stupid. I didn't like it. I really, really didn't like it. I thought it was dumb. Oh boy, that's a lot of stuff we had to talk about there. That wraps up this week for the weekly wrestling inspection. What? I just got the theme going, and I wanted to follow in by saying again, a big thank you to Benoit for the theme, the jingle of the weekly wrestling inspection. Always gets me going. So hey, so remember, folks, you can always donate a super chat. We've got Kristen Ashley standing by to read your comments. She likes to read.
I do.
You do. You read a lot of books.
When I have the time, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But you do read. You do.
I do read. I do read. Yes, that I do. Yes.
Hey, our boy Wild Boy is in the chat. Wild Boy, good to see you. Everyone, give a big thumbs up or a heart to our boy Wild Boy. Going through some stuff. Good friend of the show. Let him know we're there for him. And more zombies are appearing. I don't know what's going on. I'm losing control of my show. We hadn't had a wild one like this in a while.
Mm-hmm. It's because I'm here. Sorry.
No, it's not. The women's evolution. Did you guys hear about that? Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? That the women's evolution is what is it? 5 years old? They're telling us. They're specifically the moment when Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch invaded that one time. That's where it all started. That's what we're being told now. And it's Evolution Week this week. Woo! Celebrating WWE creating women's wrestling. No, I'm exaggerating. But there's a lot of stuff that's been talked about, right, Kristen, in regards to WWE, the evolution, how they handled it, how they positioned themselves. We do have to point out the good things, right? At least a few good things here. It's good that the world's largest wrestling company that has a dubious history of misogyny and sexism was able to fully embrace this new reality and decide to move forward with it. That's a plus. But, you know, throughout all the first evers that we got, right? You know, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, first ever Elimination Chamber. At some point, it began to feel very disingenuous and started to feel like it was a marketing ploy as opposed to a real desire for change. Then in the meantime, you get the Saudi shows that are set up, and you're like, this is a fantastic double message that you're sending right here, WWE. Do you really care about change? Do you really care about your women, about the position of women in the business? Because that's a very, very odd message that you're sending right there. And of course, you know, crediting Stephanie McMahon for the I love how you couldn't contain your laughter on that one. You just had to scoff. Mm-hmm. Stephanie McMahon creating the women's evolution, when we all know Triple H was a major force behind it. First and foremost, a strong force behind it. But not even limited to that. We can go back in history and talk, you know, think about how even at the time Trish Stratus was trying to push for change in that very, very misogynistic environment that WWE had created for their women. China as well. And you can even go even before that, but then people or women had an uphill battle against the Fabulous Moolah's grip. Iron claw grip on everything. And, you know, since then, you know, the women have been main eventing in high profile matches. It's happened. They main evented a WrestleMania, and they've been doing it consistently for a few months now. You know, we've seen Asuka and Charlotte on main events on Raw. We saw Charlotte and Bayley on SmackDown. We saw some we saw some even at the takeover in your house was the women who main evented there. Triple threat with Rhea, Io, and Charlotte. Bayley and Sasha are on top of the world right now as tag team champions, and they're all over the place. Asuka's been fantastic. They've been doing this for the past few months, but you know, it's not as if this has been very consistent, because last year wasn't great. Post WrestleMania, it wasn't great. They had nothing for Becky. Bayley and Sasha were in limbo. You know, Sasha was injured, and then for some reason they didn't know what to do with Bayley. Charlotte was directionless, and you know what they did? Here's the thing that they did. Instead of being like, well, let's try something else, they built no one. They built no one else. They even kept, you know, it took them a while before we got the Asuka heel turn that sort of revitalized everything. It wasn't a great year for the women in WWE last year. So, you know, I don't want to come across as overly cynical, but
wait.
Yep. Suddenly, we're leading into this week of evolution, and the women have been it's hard to argue against the fact that the women have been the stars of WWE over the past few months, particularly Asuka, Sasha, and Bayley, who've been carrying the entire shows, both Raw and SmackDown, on their backs. And you could even make a case for NXT at a couple of moments there. But it just seems very, very, again, convenient that all of a sudden the women are shining. They're back on top. They're being given perfect storylines, great booking, and then look at what happened on Raw this week. They've been sitting on Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair for months, and then suddenly, whoopsie-doo, it's Evolution Week. We're going to pull them back out because the women. Because they're women, and we like our women. We want all our women on TV. And there's something extremely disingenuous about it that I just can't get behind. Because remember, don't forget this, right? At TakeOver Toronto last year, we had Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae and Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim. Two matches on that TakeOver, two women's matches on that TakeOver. It was the first match, NXT TakeOver to have two women's matches on it since TakeOver Brooklyn 2, which happened in 2015. So it had been a while. Thankfully, over the past couple of takeovers, they've had two women's matches, and thank God, because they have the depth. They have so many good, talented women. It boggles my mind that they don't give them more shine, more big matches, more places like that. I just can't help but feel like it's a little disingenuous at this point to have the Evolution Week, then suddenly we have all this focus on women's wrestling. I'm curious to see what's going to happen at the end of Evolution Week. Like, once we're done here, what fate will befall these women wrestlers that are suddenly invading our screens. A lot of people are crossing their fingers that there's going to be the announcement of an Evolution 2. And right, Kristen? We fucking hope so. Am I right?
We've hoped so for almost 2 years now.
Yeah. It's something that we absolutely that we want and that the women deserve as well. I hope it happens, because even today on their main Twitter account, WWE did a throwback Thursday to when the first Evolution was announced. And I'm like, look, dudes, if you don't do the announcement, if you don't do an Evolution 2 and people get mad, that's on you, WWE. You're not reading the room. Then that means you're just being blind and stupid, and you're making your fan base mad. That's ultimately it. And I've seen people say, oh no, there shouldn't be an Evolution 2. You can't do Evolution 2 while Charlotte and Becky aren't there. And I'm like, why not? Why? Why couldn't you? What? Because they're the two biggest women's name in the company. Sure. Going to keep that from happening? Roman Reigns has been gone from the company for a few months now, and they're still holding pay-per-views. And I understand it would be strange to have Evolution 2 and Charlotte and Becky not being there. But you know what, guys? You know what you do? You know what happens then? You know what you sort of figure out at this point here is that, well, we're missing two of our biggest stars, so let's just go and we'll build some new women. We'll put to the forefront some new faces so that when Charlotte and Becky do come back, they don't have to go back to fighting amongst each other. We'll have built up a good rogues gallery of opponents for everyone to go up against. Strong, protected females in a high-profile position in the Evolution 2, on the Evolution 2 pay-per-view. You have such a deep roster of women to do this. I mean, there's no reason why you'd have to wait for Charlotte and Becky to come back. Elevate new people. And it's not as if you're completely, you as in WWE, as if you're stuck with the bottom of the barrel. You have Sasha Banks, you have Bayley, you have Asuka, you have Shayna Baszler, and you have Kairi Sane. If they let Kairi Sane wrestle like she used to do, like she did during the Mae Young Classic, like she did in NXT, there'd be no problems. let's not forget Shayna and Kairi Sane had one of the best matches of Evolution a couple of years ago for the NXT Women's title. It was really, really good. No reason to wait. We can do this without Charlotte and Becky. Otherwise, you're just painting yourself into a corner again. You're like, well, we don't have the... Yes, you do. You have the talent. You have the stars to make this kind of stuff happen. And are we doing okay, Kristen? Before I move on to another point, or...
Well, we have 4.
Okay, go. Let's go.
We have one back from Jericho, which feels like an hour ago. Anakin JMT says, I'm fine with AEW taking shots at WWE, but with Jericho focusing so much on ratings and demos, it went too far for me. Let your show speak for how good you are. Bragging about ratings is a WWE move.
You know, thank you, by the way, Anakin, for the super chat. I can understand why people are annoyed by it. For me, it doesn't bother me. But the thing is I feel like Jericho knows how to work people up into a frenzy. He knows how to whip them up. He sees what's going on online. He knows the demo thing is ridiculous. Hell, they even had Tony Khan talking about it last week. That's how bad it got. He's just riling up the internet, and I'm okay with it.
Evan writes, thank you, Steph, for women's wrestling /S.
Thank you. Everyone in the chat all together now. We're going to do the thank you, Stephanie chat. Are you ready? Okay. Kristen, you're going to clap along. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, Evan, for the super chat.
Anakin JMT says they've seemingly dropped Mandy and Sonya, who are getting over, especially Sonya, without a word.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. I don't understand it. Sonya Deville is a megastar in the making.
And Anakin JMT says Sasha and Bayley can easily headline Evolution 2.
Do you think they're saving it for Evolution? You think that's what they're...
Okay.
Oh, God, I love... Look how great the chat is. I love the chat.
Oh, that's great.
I love you guys. But hey, you know, I'm an equal opportunity lover. I'm an equal opportunity shit giver. And just because we're talking about the women's evolution as far as WWE goes, doesn't mean that our boys over in All Elite Wrestling are doing any better. This is the promotion that straight off the bat told us, what did they tell us they were going to do, Kristen, straight off the bat? You remember those words?
They were going to be different.
They were going to change the world, be different, do things the right way. Well, where's the goddamn women's division that we can all be proud of? Because right now, and you'll remember, right, Chris? We've talked about this a lot. It grinded our gears quite a bit. When AEW started, you remember what we heard the most of? People were like, give it time. Just wait, give it the time. It's coming. Yeah. You can't just pull the trigger and it'd be fantastic. I want to say hello to Foul Original in the chat. Good to see you, Foul, my man. And Goodfella 1422 as well. But that was the thing, right? It's like, just wait, be patient. Man, we are going on a full year of AEW right now. My patience is done, son. And I know yours is too, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't have it to begin with. I have no patience. So I can appreciate that they were throwing a couple of curveballs. Kylie Ray bailing on AEW, Britt maybe not being quite ready for prime time, so to speak. But then, you know, moving down the line, they do some hires, they try some stuff out, and you know, then Britt gets injured again. And Chris Statlander, who was brought in, she got injured again. But you know, if two of your talent get injured and your division falls apart, your division is in trouble enough to give airtime, wrestling airtime, to Brandy and Allie. I have nothing, not a problem personally with either of those two women. But they're not exactly your tippy top workers. I don't think you can point to me
respectfully speaking, to either of these women's body of work and tell me this was a great match that Brandy had, this was a great match that Ali had, they're not there. If this is where you're at, you have a depth problem and you have a perception problem of your own division. And what you do is you gather yourself together and you make some moves. But AEW's moves in regards to the women's division have always been more like they've been shrugs more than moves. At a certain point in their history, on one night, AEW had together in one spot Bea Priestley, Jamie Hayter, Jazz, Shazza McKenzie, Tennille Dashwood, Nicole fucking Savoy, and Mercedes fucking Martinez, and they have not clamped down any of them. Okay, B is still officially on the roster, probably stuck in Japan because that's where she works, that's where she lives. I can understand that. Jamie Hayter showed up on an episode of AEW to intimidate or get intimidated by Brandy, and then she disappeared. You have Jazz come on to one of your shows, and you don't do anything with it. You had at your fingertips Nicole Savoy and Mercedes Martinez. Now, we don't know what happened. Maybe it's just, it could be that both those women were like, maybe not. It could be. But if I'm building a top-notch women's division, I want the biggest talent, and I am going to throw everything at them to try and sign them. Keep them with me. Mercedes ultimately did the right choice. She's in WWE, and hopefully her comeback works out this time. I really do. Nicole Savoy. Hey, if you've never seen Nicole Savoy wrestle, you are missing out on one of the most talented women who's still unsigned to be out there. She's ridiculously good, and she's been ridiculously good for years. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Now, let's counter that and look on the other side here. Since AEW started, they have been adding solid male performers on the reg, Chris. FTR, Colt Cabana, Lance Archer, Jake Hager, Matt Hardy, Brian Cage. AEW signs Anna Jay, Abaddon. Again, no disrespect, but these are not premier, seasoned, ready for primetime talent. There's probably still some work to do with them. They're not questioning their talent or their capacity, but there's a difference between signing Anna Jay and Nicole Savoy. There really, really is an ocean of a difference. It would be the equivalent of signing, the equivalent of signing, let's say, his name has completely slipped my mind. But it's the equivalent of signing a bottom tier tag team as opposed to FTR. So why are you working to AEW to strengthen so much your men's division by constantly bringing in new exciting talent when the biggest signing you've done, which is Chris Statlander, worked out? We realized as we saw her, as great and as talented as she is, wrestling for television is a whole other ball game, and she'll get there. She's fine. She's very, very good. Maybe you need to invest a little more in there, or just look at the talent that you have available, like Big Swole, and have her wrestle on Dark and on Dynamite, not on Dark. She, just because she's in a feud with your girl Britt, doesn't mean she has to be taken out of, doesn't mean she has to be taken out of the equation and not feud with anyone else or have matches. I don't know what they're doing, Chris. It honestly boggles my imagination that we are here in AEW, and you were telling me, right, that over the past 6 weeks, six editions of Dynamite. Well, do you want to say the stat?
Sure. So I was looking for stats actually to just kind of see and analyze prior to speaking out and after speaking out to see if that had done anything for visibility for women, right?
Okay.
Because so many companies had kind of pushed it. So I only analyzed the promotions that are on TV and that were on TV before and after. So like NWA doesn't count.
Sure.
AEW has by far the lowest amount of time dedicated to women's matches on both Dark and Dynamite at a little over 5 minutes per show.
That's absurd.
And there were some shows that didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And there's like 8 matches. So.
You see, folks, these are decisions that AEW executives are making. These are decisions they're making. They're deciding to go this route. They're not backing themselves into a corner, or if they feel that they're backing themselves into a corner because they're hiring too many male wrestlers, maybe stop hiring new guys for a while and get to some more women's.
Yeah, I think the last time I counted, it was over 50 men and not even quite 20 women.
I think that's about right still.
Yeah.
And I mean, I appreciate that they want to do something with Allie and Brandy, despite the fact that I don't think there's any real value to an Allie and Brandy tag team. And it's not even due to what I feel is their inexperience, their lack of seasoning, you know, as athletes go or wrestlers go. I think it more. Why would you start doing women tag team matches when you can't even give your singles women?
Well, there's tag teams out in the indies, which I don't understand. There's tag teams out there. Sea Stars. There's tag teams out there that are built to be a tag team.
Sure.
And I see all of the chat here, and I understand that TV and indies are different. Not that much anymore. You got Beyond Wrestling. You have pay-per-views, right? Not all that different. And also, you know, Mercedes Martinez, she's like 20 some odd years in the business.
Sure.
Telling me she couldn't whip Jericho's ass if given the opportunity.
Oh, are we talking about?
Shotzi Blackheart had so much momentum going into NXT. She had so much hype. She came right from the indies, guys. She's 3-4 years of experience. Chris Statlander has hype. And It's not because they're not good. You know, they have hype behind them. There's women still on the indies that have hype behind them that they're simply not using. And now you have the WoW squad. Those women, that roster, sources say guarantee they're not going to have anywhere to go. There's no season 3.
Oh.
Access dropped them. Season 3 is probably not going to happen, right?
Okay.
You have this whole roster. They're TV ready. So now what? You're telling me you're not gonna hire Giselle? Not gonna hire any of them?
No. Yeah.
Come on.
It's really honestly, it's a question. These are decisions. We've talked about this before. These are decisions that are taken at an executive level. It's not happenstance. It's not like, oh, whoopsies. No. These are decisions that are being made to not reinforce the division more. And I love AEW. I love NXT. I even managed to love WWE.
I'm not going to. We're not going to pretend to run promotions, but I've talked to enough promotion owners. One of which is Thunder Rosa, who is so frankly annoyed with the state of the women's wrestling.
That's right.
She's made what was once owned by her and her husband now just all women's because she's so annoyed.
She's starting her own promotion.
Right, well, it's already started.
Oh,
but
okay,
now
sorry.
They're transferring it essentially to all women's.
Okay.
So now, I mean, they've owned it for a little bit. They didn't run, I think, maybe one show, but before COVID, it did exist, Mission Pro. So, I mean, that's the state we're in. And now you have NWA, who we don't know what's happening with them. You have WOW, that's guaranteed probably done. You have all these promotions because of speaking out, because of COVID, that are like, meh, now what? I mean, I understand you can't make people sign contracts, but my God, go to Ivalise's Twitter and go to Shaz's Twitter and tell me that once a day they're not going, hi, I've been doing this for 13 years. Where's my contract?
I honestly don't understand. No.
I don't care.
I don't
I
understand.
could go on forever about it and I won't, but there you go.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What did you say?
No, I said I could go on forever, but I won't.
This is the Mr. Warren Hayes show. People are used to people going on forever on things. But it's fat and Shaza McKenzie, man. I mean, here's the thing: is that she's good at what she does, and she has the look. Like, she absolutely 100% looks the part of a wrestling superstar. There's some things that
she's a really smart person too. I've talked to her multiple times. She's a very smart human being.
Oh, there we go. Those are our thoughts on women's wrestling.
do I have some more super chats? I do. I have one. DGMC said, not like AEW had a promising division to start with.
Well, it wasn't. Here's the thing. They started small, okay? And they got thrown some curveballs, so it became smaller, but they never properly grew it. That's what I think the issue is.
Wild Boy says, where do you think Tessa lands?
AAA. I don't think anyone. We talked about Tessa a couple of weeks ago. I'll just reiterate how I feel. Of course, WWE has sent out feelers to Tessa Blanchard because WWE's MO is scoop up all the talent so that no one else can use it. Is Charlotte Flair and Tessa Blanchard a WrestleMania main event match? Absolutely it is. But Tessa has baggage. She is a PR nightmare. Would I put it past WWE to bring her in nonetheless and put her on a redemption cycle where she's apologizing and all that shit? Hey, they did it with Hulk Hogan. You can do it with her. But I honestly, short term, AAA, they don't give a shit. Or
Indies, because they like the name. It's a draw.
Well, here, okay, interesting point, because you're right. But then this will be the kind of situation where we'll see if the speaking out movement did mean anything. Because if they start bringing Tessa back in after everything that happened, clearly we'll have learned nothing.
Evan Wright says they need Gail Kim there to cause a stink. Yeah. Honestly, she gets stuff done.
Gail's very happy in Impact.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Right, Kristen? Yeah. I mean, she'd be great in AEW. I mean, they wouldn't be ready for her. I don't think the Young Bucks, Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, none of them would be ready for Gail Kim if she decided to come in and be like, you bastards, we are doing this over.
Right.
They wouldn't be ready for it.
Okay.
Well, folks, I guess we are going to wrap this one up tonight. I wanted to talk about Keith Lee, but guess what? I droned on other stuff. It's my MO. WWE scoops up all the talent. Warren never gets to fit in all the topics he wants to talk about, which is why he has a post stream that happens on patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. He gets to talk about all the stuff that he doesn't talk about during the Mr. Warren Hayes show. So come on over. We'll talk about Keith Lee, but I also want to talk about the NWA and the this back and forth as to whether the NWA is shutting down or not. Come on over. It's a good time. Plus, you show a little support for you, boy, so that's a good time. I think we got a super chat, Kristen?
Yep. One last one. Anakin JMT says, wish we could get AJ Lee back somewhere.
Thank you, Anakin. Yeah, AJ Lee was a special gal, special talent, but I honestly think she's done. I really, really do think she doesn't want anything to do with the business anymore. I think she's happy doing her health seminars, writing books, and good for her. For real. Good for her if she's happy. So there you have it, folks. So come on over, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. We're going to start that up in a few minutes. Again, very, very appreciative, humbled by everyone who showed up again here tonight. Very appreciative of Kristen Ashley again here this evening. I hope everyone appreciated her as well. Kristen, thank you very much for being here.
It was fun hanging out. I like hanging out with everybody.
Well, thank you. Do you want to part ways by leaving your social media stuff or whatever you want to plug?
I think the easiest way to go is just to find me at Kristen Ashley on Twitter. I repost everything I do via that channel.
She does. She does. I can confirm it. So there we go. So thank you, Kristen, for joining me again this evening. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, as well. Thank you very much for everyone who dropped a super chat. Super appreciated. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you Saturday. Prediction!